Hello and welcome to Go, my favorite sports team, the #1 podcast in our hearts and soon to be in the world when our plan comes to fruition and we're able to take over the world. All you not sport knowers better watch out. It's going to be forced sport knowledge. The heck was that? I thought something was sliding off my desk. But I'm your host, Markiplier, also joined by one Tyler the Face Scheid.
The face? What's the face about?
I was reminded, because I forget where it was, but I was watching an old video where it was like one of your first appearances and you just look so, and I know it was stone faced, but it was just, you looked so intensely focused.
Are you talking about like the old Spore video or Whisper Challenge or?
No, it was like a Cards Against Humanity, and I think you were just like really focused in on what the cards were on the table.
Cards Against Humanity, was that when the old Office?
This was even before that, so it was the basement office.
That's wild to think about. You know, I was working the charity event just this past weekend. Ludwig did a speedrunning charity event. Surprisingly, a lot of people who paid for tickets there recognized me as I was running around doing stuff behind the scenes. A lot of them were like, that can't be him, and then eventually realized it was me, and were like, what are you doing here? I haven't seen you in 5 years. So the whole, I thought you disappeared from the internet thing happened again, which is fascinating to say the least. I don't blame people. You know, I haven't appeared physically on your channel in a while, but outside of that, you know, I've been doing my stuff.
Yeah, because my channel is the entire internet. We all know this.
Yes. You know, just like this podcast is the only podcast to exist.
It will soon be when we eliminate all other sports podcasts first, and then we'll come all, bro, those, we will not come all over those other podcasts. We will come for those other podcasts. Wink. You heard it here first.
There you go. Well, Mark, you want to hear some interesting sport news now, or you want?
Yes. First time that I've been able to record something on a desk in a very long time. It's quite nice.
Yeah, you've been mobile for a long time now.
Way too long. Ugh, it's been a nightmare.
Do you remember the first time I actually appeared on your channel in that room, I believe?
Are you about to be all nostalgic?
I'm looking in the background and I think that same desk/table that I sat at is still there.
It's still there. Why would it ever have moved? No one was ever going to move it.
My brain took me back to that moment on crutches when you made me go down the hallway into the kitchen to get you a Coke.
And what a friend to do that while I was running a very important stream that I'm sure everyone knew and remembers. I wonder if there's an archive of that somewhere. I think there is. It's the Unos charity live stream for anyone listening to this.
That was so long ago. But anyway, sporting news. Canada is back in contention for the Stanley Cup.
Were they out of contention for the Stanley Cup?
They've been in contention, but this is, for the record, you know, ice hockey has roots in Canada, right? It's been 31 years since any Canadian team has actually lifted it in victory.
31 years?
31 years. The last time they won was 1993. The last team to do it was the Montreal Canadiens by beating the Los Angeles Kings to win the 1993 Stanley Cup. And the Edmonton Oilers just defeated the Dallas Stars to make it to the Stanley Cup final to face off against the Florida Panthers.
Well, that's pretty cool. So they're not guaranteed it, but they could get it, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Is this a result of the US-based teams poaching Canadian talent?
You know, probably. There's pretty much Canadian talent all across all of the teams, and Russian talent, and then northern United States talent. I don't know if there's a single NHL team without a Canadian player, to be honest.
I mean, it would make sense because the thing about, you know, Texas, from my experience, given that I was just there for a little bit, it ain't cold. Well, actually, no, that's a lie. That's changing nowadays.
Yeah.
For a lot of the time of the year, Texas, it gets real cold. And that's probably a fun, novel experience, but it'll give ride to hardier people and better hockey players, so those Canadians can get what's coming to them.
Yeah. But Florida generally does not get cold at all.
Not typically, no. Gulf of Mexico, pretty warm down there. Not like, actually too warm down there. Actually over 100 degrees warm down there.
Not good.
No, it's fine.
You're right. It's fine. It's fine for swimming. It's the perfect temperature.
Fine. Totally fine.
That was the main sporting news that I grabbed real quick because I woke up way too early after being up way too late.
Well, I'm sure I can get some jacuzzis in here. You've done something wrong. I know you have. If you want to put your jacuzzas onto our eyeballs, you're going to have to go to reddit.com/r/gmfst to be able to find where they are. We've got a jacuzz from Jazz Like Quiet 1706. Whoa, wait, what? Good evening, Tyler and Mark. I thought I'd point out to you, Mark, that with watching Markiplier Makes Dog Toys, you caught the two bundles of yarn with one hand, one after another, and yet claim to not be a sports knower or very hand-eye coordinated, but catching things one after another, one-handed, is a skill that's taught through training and repetition, and a very good skill. Don't get me wrong, Mark, well done, but I couldn't help myself but write a jacuzz to you. Man, you got me. I'm so skilled. I'm so good at things.
No!
I tried to be humble about it, but it's so hard to be humble when you're this good at everything you do. You've got me. You wound me, but I accept the criticism.
Jacuzzas are supposed to be about jacuzzing me primarily, but you as well, about things that you have done wrong.
Clearly, I was not being forthcoming about my skillful nature and my true experiences with being skilled.
Evidently, they think you're more sportly because you can catch things one-handed.
It's true. It's true. Even though I don't remember ever playing those types of sports, I'm just so naturally gifted.
You know, now we just need to make a video of me throwing all kinds of sports balls at you, and you have to catch them all one-handed.
That makes sense. Okay.
You know, just to prove to the audience how truly skilled you are.
As penance, that's what I'll do.
Is there a time limit? You're gonna minimum time allowed before I throw the second ball?
As fast as you can, because if I am that skilled, I would be able to react to everything you could give me. Maybe we'll cut this out. I'm not 100% sure. I'm gonna read this jacuzz from Apprehensive Cat 762. Jacuzz, Tyler. As we discussed earlier in a very private, not at all private Discord call, I jacuzed you of coming up, quote, short in the sex primer. During said primer, you failed, I repeat, failed to mention average sizes, statistics, and how certain differences in said sizes can give an advantage or disadvantage to the contestant. How dare you? And you had the gall to write me off and tell me to just put my jacuzz in the subreddit because it has to appeal to Mark. So Mark, you handsome-looking devil, you devious, tall, and girthy man, I really need you to get on Tyler's ass for this, please and thank you. You're right. I'm sorry. I apologize. You know, being so tall and girthy, sometimes I can't put myself in the shoes of those less girthy. Those who are ungirthed. Those who are lacking in girth and tallness. Not naming any names. But, Tyler, how about you get on your ass, get off your ass, and get on your ass to be able to get these average statistics? Come on. The world of sex sports needs this to move forward in life.
So for context, we have a shared Discord with Distractable called Distractago. And so I was on there one night, I was chatting with people in the go section of it, right? It was in the spoiler section because they were talking about something or another. It was just going for a while and somebody suggested just hopping over into the call. So we hopped into the call and then we were having discussions about different sports news and different stuff like that. They spoke up about this jacuzz and was like, why weren't there like measurements and stuff like you do for every other sport in there in the sex primer? And I was like, listen, if you got a jacuzz, that goes to the Reddit. I'm not the one that picks the jacuzzes. That's you, Mark. So I told them to write the jacuzz, and evidently this is that jacuzz. You know, maybe we should have gotten into the average size of body parts, but I didn't think that was exactly kosher. Not to say that episode was really kosher, but...
He's a coward is what he's saying. I started this episode by saying we were going to come all over the competition. And you don't hear me cringing at my own cringe. If I apologize for anything, it's for being too girthy and too forthcoming. And that has nothing to do with sex. So Tyler, you get these statistics for these people. I hope everyone is listening to this on speakers of some kind. Everyone roll down your windows, turn up your volumes to share this knowledge with the world.
All right, so according to WebMD, the average flaccid penis size is 3.61 inches or 9.16 centimeters. Flaccid stretched length is 5.21 inches. 13.24 centimeters.
Why is that a metric? Why is that a metric?
This is WebMD, Mark. This is WebMD.
Right, of course.
They have to do all of the testing, right? It's all for medical purposes. Erect length average is 5.17 inches or 13.12 centimeters. Flaccid girth now, 3.67 inches or 9.31 centimeters. And erect girth, a whopping 4.59 inches and 11.66 centimeters.
I don't think you should describe that as whopping, but I don't think you should describe anything as whopping. This is a purely scientific statistic. It's not about any kind of like adjectives that we need to inject into the mix. This is about pure performance.
And since we're equal opportunity podcast, we can't just talk about the male parts.
Of course not.
So the average vaginal depth is 3.6 inches, 9.1 centimeters, but can range from 2 to 5 inches. In an unstimulated state, the average depth is 2.8 to 3.1, but can increase to 4.3 to 4.7 inches during arousal.
Mm-hmm. What are they made out of? Hardened galvanized steel? What's the material? You always give the material with these too.
Oh, right. They're both fleshy parts. Human flesh, human cells. The penis has spongy material in it in order for it to expand in size when blood flow goes to the area. They're quite stretchy.
I want to move on. I'm going to purge these ghosts. I'm going to purge these horny ghosts out of here. I'm purging them.
They really wanted the measurements, they really wanted to know. Now it's time to move on to the more serious topic, Mark. The Cotswold Olimpick Games. Have you ever heard of these games before?
Maybe.
Have you ever participated in the age-old sport of shin kicking?
I've kicked a shin or two in my time. I'd probably be very good at it, just knowing my track record of things.
Have you ever tugged on a rope against another person on the other side, tugging on the same said rope?
Oh, once or twice or thrice.
Have you ever done relays involving wheelbarrows and hay bales?
Oh, I don't talk about my personal time too much, but yes.
Have you ever run?
I wish I hadn't, but unfortunately I have.
You've done some things that appear in the Cotswold Games. So to paint the picture, right? It's feats of hilarity and skill.
A lot of feet.
Two people stuffing straw into their pants and kicking each other's shin is an event. It is steeped in local tradition and history. This has been going on for generations and years.
Generations and years?
It's been pioneered since 1575.
Okay.
Sometime between 1575 and 1582. So it's been going on for a long time.
Okay, all right. Generations and years.
Yes, both. So you got a mix of running, throwing, wrestling, dancing, balancing, teamwork, competition, camaraderie. It's sportly.
Camaraderie.
It's exciting. And who doesn't want to watch two people kick each other in the shins?
Look, this sounds violent and unsafe, and I feel like I'm naturally opposed to these events.
No, they are very safe.
How many people have died?
I don't know if anyone has died.
No one's ever died. I don't think anyone in the world has ever died.
I see no deaths have officially that I can see that have appeared in these games.
Fascinating. So it might be the safest sport we've ever covered.
Yeah, the only thing in the history is Dover himself died before the Restoration when Charles II took over the throne. The games were instantly revived.
Who's Dover?
Robert Dover.
Like the cliffs of Dover?
Yeah.
Are those his cliffs?
I'm gonna say yes.
Yeah, well, you heard it here first. Everybody go. My favorite sports team is here to make bold claims and never go back on them. You wanna second guess us? Go through the legal process of accuse.
Is that a legal process now?
Oh, it's a very legal process.
Each year, around 20,000 visitors flock to Dover's Hill. Okay, so the hill is named after him. I don't know if the cliffs are. I'm withdrawing my bold claim, but it's in Chipping, Camden, UK, to spectate and participate in the Cotswold Olimpick Games. 20,000 visitors.
20,000?
This sporting event dates back over 400 years, and while some aspects have changed, the spirit of those early games still is alive in the modern version. The events vary year to year. Some examples, shin kicking, tug of war, and various races. You never quite know what events you'll see until you arrive, and this year's event took place on May 31st. The most interesting thing is, why do you think this region of England has its own Olympic Games?
They envision themselves in the past and probably in the present, although lesser to the now, as the center of the world and the geopolitical influencer of the entire globe, and they wish they were Greece so badly, or something like that. And they want to be naked and oiled up and carry a torch.
That's more along the lines where I thought you'd go, all right? By the way, they spell Olympic wrong. They spell it Olympick. Those hoity-toity bastards.
Those. How could they? All right. What's deal? What's deal? Give me deal.
We're gonna find that out. We got to cover the history, and it'll reveal the secrets of which that question is answered.
Well, I think we can safely eliminate the Romans.
Act 1! Unlike many of the sports and sporting events we've covered, we know exactly who founded the Cotswold Olimpick Games.
Don't say the Romans.
The games were created by Robert Dover.
I knew it. I could have guessed that. I don't know why I didn't think long enough to be able to remember Mr. Dover. Is he Roman? Is he Roman?
The games were created by Robert Dover, a well-to-do lawyer in Chipping Campden in the UK. First games taking place in 1612. Well, it took place about a half mile outside of Chipping Campden because the games could get competitive and they didn't want to end up destroying the town.
How would they destroy the town?
You know, when they get really into shin kicking, they start kicking the shins of buildings.
Well, actually, no, that checks out. I'm pretty sure the UK still gets pretty unruly even when soccer's going down, so I wouldn't imagine that this would be any different.
The US gets unruly when football and baseball goes down, so, you know.
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
The winning riots, I swear, seem worse than the losing team's riots. And it doesn't make sense to me.
Any excuse to go out and have some fun.
So Dover, with the approval of King James, spent £10,000 to create the game, which would be modern day $1.5 million today.
Nice.
He built a temporary wooden castle, now called Dover Castle, and it's built on the grounds each year for the games.
Oh, it's rebuilt every time.
Yes, a tradition still practiced to this day. And the early games were a mix of running, jumping, dancing, fighting with weapons like swords, cudgels, quarterstaffs, wrestling, horse racing, and coursing with hounds. I'm going to show you this castle.
I'm ready. I'm going to judge it. Everyone knows I'm a castle expert.
This is the castle.
Boo! Boo! A Ren Fair would have a better entrance than that. For everyone who's not looking at this on the video screen monitor, whatever it is that you have, it looks like cardboard cutouts and paper mache shields that are no taller than two of the children standing in front of it stacked together.
You know, what we really are finding out is Dover was a cheap ass and pocketed most of the 10,000 pounds for himself.
I wouldn't doubt it. This seems ridiculous. If this is a faithful recreation, that doesn't even look like it's made of wood. Sure, if you call cardboard wood after it's been crushed into pulp and then assembled with acids back into a form.
I had to remove it because it really didn't live up to expectations.
It was insulting. It was insulting.
So it's thought that Dover may have been inspired by
the Olympics.
You got it. I was hoping you'd think it was the Romans.
You think I don't know where the Olympics are from? Fool. Fool.
We all know it was the Romans when they invaded Greece and then they created them.
Exactly. Not that. No, that's not true.
Now the Greeks are all going to come after my ass.
We're being sarcastic. How could they be upset?
Sarcasm doesn't play well over voice.
Greeks don't understand sarcasm. It just goes over their heads.
Though England was also in a time of frequent wars, so it may have also been a way to keep the local people in fighting shape, just in case, you know, the current king picked another fight with his neighbors and they went to war again in the shin-kicking war of 1799.
You know, that time in human history, and even now, of course, but people loved going to war. Not the people, but, you know, the leaders loved a good war. And the thing is, you can't really blame any one person. Sure, there was like warmongers, but everyone was trying to take advantage of every opportunity that they could see. So borders were always being stepped on. It was like the worst yard delineation dispute you could possibly have with the worst, most unruly neighbor that hates your guts and you hate their guts. guts, but also all of your families are intertwined and married. It's super messed up, and everyone is actually like connected in one way or another, but they still all hate each other. It's basically Romeo and Juliet all over again. Freaking Capulets.
I mean, basically, since 1805, the British owned the oceans with their navy, so...
That's true. The British did have quite an overwhelming navy. I think that's where we as Americans got that from. We really understood the value of a navy, which is why our navy is ungodly huge. People don't even understand how big our navy is.
No, or just our military in general is like the next 10 below, I think, don't even reach like our air power combined.
It's not even us being like Americans that are bragging. It's like even to us, we're just like, how, what the hell? That's why?
Taxes, man, taxes. Got a collection of poems created by Robert Dover.
I love when you read poems. Tell me it's a eulogy, please. Let it be a eulogy. We're gonna start a separate podcast. It's you just reading eulogies. I really want that. From all around the world. Please tell me this is a eulogy.
The eulogy podcast. That would be, you know what? That would actually be really fun.
That would be a great podcast.
That would be a great podcast.
That would be the weirdest evolution if we somehow shift this podcast from sports to eulogies, just like slowly, but so no one ever realizes what it is. This is a my favorite eulogy.
It's just a gradual transition. We just, every sports eulogy we can go to, and then it just becomes regular.
It just goes deeper and deeper down.
So these poems were written by various noble people at the time with various levels of poetic skill.
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Let's just say these writers were no Shakespeare. Here's one of the poems titled, "To my noble friend, Mr. Robert Dover, and his brave annual assemblies upon Cotswold."
Please, my friends call me Ben.
Penned by Michael Drayton. Just as a note from our researcher, there may be a couple of slight translation errors as I translated this from early modern English, better known as Shakespearean English. And while I have a passable understanding, I'm not an expert. Please put down your pitchforks.
Well, it's a good thing you're going to be reading it in its original native English form, or early English form.
Dover, to thee right,
What?
who will strive that dost in these dull iron times revive the golden age's glory, which poor we had not so much dreamt on but for thee, as those brave Grecians in their happy days on Mount Olympus to their Hercules ordained their games Olympic, and so named of the great mountain for those pastimes famed, where their able youth leapt, wrestled, ran through the armed dirt, and honored was the man that was the victor in the circuit there. The nimble rider, skilled charioteer, strove for the garland in those noble times. There be the harps, the poets sang their rhymes, and West Greece flourished, and was only then nurse of all arts and of famous men. Numbered their years, still their accounts they made, either from this or the Olympiad. So Dover, for the games by thee begun, we'll reckon ours as time away doth run. We'll have thy statue in some rocket cut out, with brave inscriptions garnished about, and underwritten lo, this man was the man, Dover, that first these sports began. Lads of the hills and lasses of the vale, in many a song and many a merry tale, shall mention thee, and having leave to play, unto thy name shall make a holy day. The Cotswold shepherds as their flocks they keep, to put off lazy drowsiness and sleep, shall fit to tell and hear thy story told, that night shall come ere their flocks can fold.
That was beautiful. I have nothing critical to say about it. That was wonderful. I think you did a great job with that. And honestly, I'm flabbergasted. I didn't get a word of what you said. I didn't understand a single thing. But when I heard lads from the hills and lasses from the vale, I was like, oh, wow, this is beautiful, probably. Whatever they're talking about. Something about building a statue for Dover. I think I got a little of that. Something about the Olympians. And then the rest was it was all Greek to me.
Something about we'll have a statue in some rock cut out.
Is that the cliffs of Dover?
Yes, bold claim.
It's not. The Cliffs of Dover are a natural formation. They weren't.
No, they were carved by this man himself.
They're actually not.
Stop being smart.
They're made out of dead seashells.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's an argument start right there. No, for anyone who wasn't watching, like just O-faced. End of the argument is not really, but man, that caught me off guard. Quite a defense mechanism. That evolutionary advantage is pretty good.
Sorry, I can't control it sometimes, you know. When threat is upon me, it just comes out.
You said you got a couple poems. Is there more?
No, speaking of Shakespeare, he was alive for the first few years of the games and likely knew of them. It's even thought that the line, "How did your dog run at Cotswold?" spelled Cotswold, in The Merry Wives of Windsor, is about the Cotswold Olimpick Games.
I don't know that one. I'm not very familiar with Shakespeare's works.
I know things, or I did at one time. I gotta share this. This is fascinating. I think this is the Book of Poems.
Oh. Well, that's lovely. There's someone standing on their head. There's people kicking shins. Wow, this is... and then there's a castle on a pedestal.
It looks like the very same castle we saw.
It does not look like the very same castle we saw.
It's the exact same.
It does not look like the very same castle we saw.
Anyway, that's the only poem. I only grabbed one. One poem was grabbed. And by I grabbed, I meant our researcher grabbed. I'm taking credit for things I didn't do. I'm sorry. But the games have been held off on over the last 400 years. Wait, the games have been held off.
Off and on?
Off and on. Sorry, I'm back to the old English way of speaking. My brain couldn't comprehend modern English.
Okay.
The games were held off and on over the last 400 years, stopping and starting again over the years due to various wars, political struggles, and shifts in society.
No!
The modern version of the games returned in 1965 and after they had been stopped back in 1853. While some events like shin kicking and races have endured throughout the history of the games, each year's events are different. Some notable past events include Welly Wanging.
Welly Wanging?
Which is throwing a rubber Wellington boot as far as you can. That was not what I thought it was.
Welly Wanging.
I'm going to tell you the name of this one and I'm going to have you describe it. While flonking.
Do while flonking?
Yeah.
Do while flonking. Do while flonking. Everybody remember, do while flonking. That's a very important thing to know.
Yeah, but what is it? Tell me about the event.
Oh, back in ancient Rome, people would flonk their flonkers day and night. It was actually quite a handy aptitude test to see how far you could flonk your flonk. Not many people know that the record is still held to this day by that.
What's the number?
20.
Wow, that's a lot. The real sport is where one team forms a circle around a bucket of beer and one member of the opposing team stands in the middle of the circle with a 2-foot-long stick and tries to fling a rag in the beer bucket and hit the team dancing around him, scoring points based on where the rag hits the opposing team. The balls are worth extra.
Good, okay.
The beer is to numb the pain, I think, on impact.
It's not inaccurate to what I said.
One thing's for sure, the Cotswold Olimpick Games are never boring. They've been growing in popularity. In 2011, 8,000 people attended, but this year, 20,000.
I could have sworn you said never born, and I'm like, what does that even mean? That's a terminology from like Warhammer 40K, but that makes more sense that never boring would be more accurate.
Mark, are you ready to compete in the Olympic Games?
No. What do I do? I'll be great at it, but no.
You're going to be fantastic. Fun for all ages. The shin kicking, though, is 18 plus only. It's time to compete. Most of the year, the field that hosts the Cotswold Olimpick Games is an empty field, usually filled with sheep. It's remained largely unchanged for the over 400 years. But before the games, temporary fencing is put up for you. Spectators sit in the grass on the hill overlooking the field.
The Ho Hill.
Or lower arena, as they call it, by the castle. The events vary from year to year, but there's usually an obstacle course of some time. You're great at those. I've seen you do them.
Yes, have you? When?
You did the military one on Unis Honest.
Oh, that's fair.
There's usually an obstacle course of some time with long tarps sprayed with water. Slip and slide! And landmines. They're sprayed on the crest for various races.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, oh, and no one's died in the Cotswolds.
Oh, they're lane mines. I don't know if that's better.
Lane mines.
I think there's a typo. I think it probably means lane lines sprayed on the crest.
That would make a lot more sense than land mines or lane mines. But you never know. It's always a surprise at the Cotswold Olimpics.
So there's also a 4.6 mile long cross country route that leads out of the arena from Dover's Castle to the scenic Campden House Estate before working its way back into the arena.
That's a long route. 4.6 miles.
For cross country, that's pretty normal.
Oh, for the race. Okay, I get it. I see.
So, Mark, these are the events we're getting you in.
Okay, I'm ready.
Shin kicking world championship.
So is this exactly what it sounds like?
Yes.
You kick someone's shin.
Yes.
And whoever gives up first.
Sort of. Original sport was Cotswold wrestling. However, it developed into the very localized version known as shin kicking. Cotswold wrestling involved both men gripping their opponent's shoulders and attempting to trip or throw the opponent to the ground. The tripping or leg work was known as underplay. Not to be confused with overplay, underplay. They were really power bottoms back in the day, you know? They were ultimate power bottoms were the winners of this game.
That makes sense. All right, okay.
And over the years, the local inter-village rivalry was a catalyst, and the tripping became kicking and started dominating the sport. There's a referee known as the stickler, which really, I think all referees are pretty much these. It's a perfect name. They're just sticklers for the rules, you know? They used a stalker staff between the combatants to control things, so they'd hit them too.
A stalker staff or a stock or staff?
Stock or staff. And a match would only start when he withdrew his staff and kicking commenced. The phrase, a stickler for the rules, is believed to have originated from this sport. To win the world championship, you and your shins need to survive an elimination-style tournament until you're the last person standing. The entry is free, first of all. You get to sign up for all the events you want to compete in. And I know, baby Mark is all about the shin kicking. You know, they got the height for it.
I got the soft bones for it.
You're required to wear soft shoes, so, you know, no steel-toed boots. That's cheating. You get an amount of time to protect your shins. Stuff straw up there. There's hay nearby, all right?
Okay, all right.
And then you kick shins until somebody, it's like a game of mercy. You kick shins until somebody says, it's too much.
Is it everyone goes into a big pile and starts kicking, or is it?
It's a tournament style. They pair you up randomly, and it's 1v1 until you're the last man standing.
There's no regulation on how much straw or what kind of straw. You just grab the nearest straw.
You got to shove it into your pants.
I understand that, but how soon before the competition are we shoving?
You know, I don't have an official rule book.
It's kept secret like NASCAR.
Yeah, it's hidden. The rules, it's so they can change them every year. You know, adapt. Just not on the website. So, you know, whoever is the stickler, it determines how much time you have to shove the straw in your pants. And no high kicking. You can't just wallop somebody in the balls.
That's fair, but I imagine people do get walloped in the balls. If there's legs flying, there's going to be balls walloped.
You know, I'll just share you this image of the actual shin kicking.
Well, I'm not seeing enough underplay.
There's really, really so much. This guy's even pulling his head into the underplay. He's trying to get an advantage. You see that?
That's just what he wants. He's just playing into his trap of turning. He's like trying to be submissive, but then the power bottom's going to really rise up.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, you know.
How many people have broken their shins?
I don't know, but I imagine the stickler over here, as you can see him off to the side, he's trying to hide. Probably the more likely guy to break your shin. You break the rules. He might hit you in the back of the knees, and then you get on your knees, and then you're really in for the underplay.
Man, it would be terrible if you went up against someone who does like Muay Thai.
Oh, yeah.
They can bend metal poles with their kicks. I don't think these guys want any of that.
Wow. Thailand could take over England. We need to bleep that out. Thailand might take advantage of this.
Yeah, there's all of Thailand listens to this. They're going to rush over to the UK right now.
Listen, ever since I went there, they all listen.
Yeah, when did you go over there again? I forget.
February.
And you said you were going to go back?
I think so. If I can make it work. I haven't determined my future plans yet.
I've determined all of my future.
Some of us are less bold, Mark.
I see.
All right, now on to the next event. Champion of the Hill, one of the traditional events of the games. It involves individual competitors competing in 4 separate events in the lower arena. And the events change from year to year. Have you ever done a standing long jump?
Yes.
That's the first event, static long jump, baby Mark.
Yippee!
You gotta be a complete standstill and jump as far as you can. There you go.
What's the record?
Because it changes every year, they don't keep track.
I thought you were gonna say die. The record is die.
The record is off the cliffs of Dover.
Exactly, into the ocean. Whoever can make it in wins, but you die.
But you die. The next one is a so-called name, spurning the bar. What do you think this one is? You're right, it's caber tossing.
Yeah, I did that.
Tossing a large tapered wooden pole, usually around 16 to 20 feet tall and weighing 90 to 150 pounds. Don't worry, we'll get you a smaller stick, baby Mark. Hammer throw.
That's nice.
Throwing a sledgehammer as far as you can.
Okay.
Hammer throw is also in normal track and field. So
That is true, yes.
putting the shot, also known as shot put.
Did it come from here first?
It very well may have.
Interesting.
You get to throw heavy balls as far as you can.
That's always fun.
And then you win Champion of the Hill by having the best performance across all 4 events. So think of it like not a triathlon, a decathlon, but you're based on your placements and stuff, but less events, not 10. Then there's Championship of the Hill, which is traditionally a team game. So Mark, recruit all your baby friends, baby Markiplier and all the babies versus all the other people.
How many friends do babies have on average?
You know, that's all predicated on the parents and how much they socialize them.
I mean, I suppose it's true, or the charisma of the baby.
Could be, especially how high they jump on the trampoline to peek over the wall in Korea. You know, that's how they determine the number of friends over there. The games vary from year to year, but usually include relays of like doing wheelbarrows. You remember doing wheelbarrows in wrestling where you'd hold one person's legs and they crawl? I don't know if it's that. I think they might actually have wheelbarrows full of stuff that they run, but it could be. Dust bins, no idea what that means. Hay bales, slippery running surfaces, and a lot of water. This is the one where they have the slip and slide. So it's a race. Team who wins, wins. Enjoy this image of the event. That's not the image that I was given. Here's Shin kicking more.
Yeah, okay, we saw that.
They're kissing a cup.
Okay.
Wow, there's a lot of fire and fireworks. That's
Well, that
champion.
seems like a lovely time. Ow.
That does not look fun.
It's someone's bruised shin. It's really bruised.
This is the relays. This is what I was looking for.
Ah, that's nice. Okay, this looks like a lot of fun. It looks like Takeshi's Castle. Is that guy bleeding in the bottom right?
No, not at all. No.
All right, no one's died. No one has died.
Then there's tug of war. Everyone knows tug of war. Do I need to explain tug of war?
Yes. Explain it like you're explaining a banana split.
You got a banana split, right? But this banana split is special. There's only 2 scoops of ice cream. You got to make sure the banana is a nice curvy one, right? A big curve, like a big smiley face.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You got to get big globs of ice cream. You got your chocolate and your strawberry. They're facing off for this particular battle of tug of war. And the banana is the rope. They're gonna whoever pulls the banana more to their side, whichever ice cream melts the fastest and coats the banana further, wins. So you put them on each end and you watch them melt. They melt. They're really competing. They're really going after it. One of them's like, I'm gonna try and move the plate into the sun so I melt faster.
Oh wow.
I'm gonna really dig in here. I'm gonna get the meltiest and cover the banana further to be my side, my ice cream coating. They've really got the advantage because that sun is massive today. He's an anchor for them. He's really digging in, sunbeams shining bright and melting that ice cream faster. And sure enough, they pull it all the way over to the point of the lines, you know, because there's 2 lines where you got your segment where the middle scoop would go. And the one who melts the furthest and gets to the farthest line away from them wins. And that's how they do it. And so it's like pulling the banana to be on their side of the line.
I like it.
And usually that's how it works, actually, is it's the lines are roughly a third of the rope, and there's a flag in the middle, and the idea is to get the flag to your third line across that line, and you win.
Okay, that sounds cool.
That was the best way I could do it with the banana split. That was an interesting way of thinking about it.
I got it. That's understood.
So 6 teams compete in this event. It's an elimination style tournament. So if your team, chocolate ice cream, wins, you win.
How many winners are in the Cotswold Olympics?
So it's based on each event. So with the relay, there's a team victory. Shin kicking, there's a individual victory. Champion of the Hill, which is the individual like multi-event. Tug of war is a team winner. There's a running race, and that's the winner. So whoever does the 4.6 mile cross country race and gets there the fastest wins. There's also apparently a half-mile race for kids. So baby Mark, you could fully run and compete against people your age.
Oh, it's amazing you think a baby can run half a mile, but I'll do my best. It's also amazing you thought a baby could build their own bobsled and go down on a skeleton.
They could.
There's nothing baby Mark can't do.
Exactly. So before the games start, you get to the gates as early as possible, register for the events that you want to get into. There's very limited space. And so for team events, you have to really get there early and make sure you get your teams in because there's usually only 6 teams allowed to enter. The gates open at 4 p.m. So you'll need to scramble to registration, shine up. And this year, shin kicking was huge. Once you registered, you enjoy food, music, opening ceremonies. And around 7 p.m., it's finally time for the games to begin. Ceremonies take place include someone dressed as Robert Dover arriving on horseback and making a short speech as the opening ceremonies end. You get into your competitions.
Beautiful.
And then after the games, as the sun sets, the winners are announced, presented with trophies. All participants are given a medal. Darkness descends and a giant torch is lit and fireworks explode in the sky, celebrating all of the broken shins from the shin kicking.
My God, it's beautiful.
Then it's time for the half-mile torchlit procession back into the village.
Oh, that must have been scary for the village.
That's what they thought. That's why the ogres were so scared, because people would come they would light torches and they'd be like, "Oh, this is my swamp," and they're like, "No, the people are coming back." Oh no, that's Shrek, right?
Yes, I think it's Shrek. Sure.
That's real life. That's where it came from. The torches were just coming back from their drunken shin kicking fun. But once you get back, there's food, music, and dancing into the wee hours.
Lovely.
And you can collapse, curl up in a ball, and cry over your bruised and bleeding shins. So Mark, when are we going? I'm ready to compete.
When is it?
Well, it happened on May 31st. I think it's an annual event towards the end of May every year.
Missed it by that much. It's too bad because, the United Kingdom will have sunk into the sea at that point and we won't be able to go to it. So it's a damn shame.
That's the Cotswold Games. Any final thoughts on the wallet of Colts?
I think it's fascinating that people still and then get together to have a good old time and kick the shit out of each other. That's great for everybody involved.
Especially the hay. The hay that gets shoved in there. Real good time.
People were very bored back then.
Why do you think sports were created? Video games, same thing. It's not innovation. Innovation strives from boredom and laziness primarily. Well, great news for all of you listeners out there. We have merch.
Is it store.gmfst.com?
Yes, you got it right. You can get your athletic tee to sport your XXL shin capabilities.
And get your iFinger sports hat so everyone can know that you finger sports just as hard as we do.
Everyone needs to know how hard you finger sports. Or as Mark said last week, finger horts.
My finger horts. From all the finger I'm sporting.
You got that girthy finger, Mark. It's real strong.
It's my best feature.
But if you have any accusations or any episode ideas, go to the subreddit. It's reddit.com/r/gmfst. Make sure and use the proper flair. Accuses and episode ideas are different. So make sure to pick the right one for what you're trying to do. Please continue making us the #1 sports podcast and eventually the best podcast in the entire world. Share it with a friend, just one friend. You see a friend, they seem bored, they seem tired, they seem, a little down. Hit them with the Go My Favorite Sports team. Show them how hard you finger sports, and they can finger sports with you next time.
Yes, maybe don't open with that unless it works. So predict the future and know which route to take.
And if it doesn't work, just turn back time and try again. So thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.